Maverick Public Safety News. We're currently still in downtown Sacramento at L and 7th Street, and we're waiting for a statement from Sacramento Fire Department's Keith Wade.
Captain Keith Wade, Keithwade, and I'm the Public Information Officer for the Sacramento Fire Department. A short time ago, the Sacramento Fire Department received 911 calls in regards to loud noises and what was termed as a building collapse or an impending building collapse at 7th and L in downtown Sacramento. This building that you see directly behind me is known as the Old Marshall Hotel to Sacramentans. It was recently purchased by another company some time ago and has been under renovation for some time. What you see behind me is a steel frame structure, what's also termed as an exoskeleton, that has been built around the building. It is intended to hold up the brick facade, to maintain it, to use it as the outside of the structure as they continue renovation and building of a new hotel. The interior of this building is a planned demolition. It has been planned for some time, and that is why this exoskeleton was built. It is planned, the demolition is doing what it's intended to do. It was told to me that the demolition is proceeding a little more aggressive than intended. And the noise that's been generating 911 calls had the fire department decide to come out, and as a safety precaution for the citizens, though they're not expecting any sort of imminent collapse to the exterior of the building, we decided to shut down the streets. This is an old building, and though they have good intentions of what could happen, we want to make sure that the public remains safe. So we've shut down the streets at 8th and L and 7th and J to all pedestrian traffic and cars. We are letting light rail still proceed through, and at this point, I will take any questions you guys have.
Any indication on a timeline as to when this could all implode? It sounds pretty intimidating standing out here. It sounds like you're inside a mine shaft. All the noise. So any timeline that you guys might anticipate?
Most of the floors have already collapsed on the interior. As you can see, the exterior is still standing. So the exoskeleton, that steel structure, is doing what it's intended to do. What the fire department calls the Charlie side, but if you're looking from the 7th Street side at the front of the building, that would be known as the right side of the building, does not have an exoskeleton. That is just a naked brick facade, if you will. And that was done intentionally as well, because that will be the access point for the demolition team as they come in tomorrow to finish the demolition of the building. So right now, it is a sit and wait as they wait for the interior of this building to do what it's been intended to do, which is collapse fully. And then once they deem it, they get the equipment here tomorrow, they will then start the full demolition of the inside of that building.
And Captain, you were talking about that this is coming down a lot more aggressively than anticipated. Talking with the contractors that are here on site, what was the timeline that they had for this to actually start?
I think it was always intended to move slowly, and then it progressed a little more rapidly than expected. I think with all best intentions, sometimes you don't know exactly how these things might play out. This is, again, a very old building, and you can take all these different safety precautions, and the amount of noise, again, and how rapidly it started progressing, I was told was a little unexpected. That's why the fire department has a contingency here to make sure that the public remains safe. And as you can see, a light rail is traveling by right now.
So the noises that we're hearing, for all intents and purposes, that's what's supposed to be happening as part of this demolition.
Exactly. That's what I was told, that this is actually intended to be happening, but because of the amount of noise and how fast it was going, the steps were taken to make sure that the public is safe, and that we don't leave any stone unturned, if you will, when it comes to public safety.
Keith, Battalion Chief Powell, and they were checking weather a little bit earlier, and winds coming from the north, heading out towards the Delta. When this really, if this really does go, there's probably going to be some dust, and it sounded like there's some concern about blowing out to the Delta. Can you talk about that?
They didn't really brief me on weather. But anytime a building comes down, I'm sure you've seen some of those videos that are generated, there's going to be a large dust cloud. The hope is that this stays interior, obviously, of what has been happening, remains to be happening, that the interior of the building collapses as intended, and then tomorrow the rest of the demo team comes in and clears out the inside of that building. And when they do so, they will control dust and debris management from getting up into the atmosphere and moving along. So as far as I know right now, weather's not a major concern, but they will always check just to make sure.
That's it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so that was a press conference with Public Information Officer Keith Wade here at 7th and L in downtown Sacramento. This is Maverick Public Safety News. So just to recap, what's happening is expected to happen, but it's happening a little faster than what they originally intended. So it's been generating 911 calls because of the loud noises and the collapsing happening. But once again, you can see the steel framing, the exoskeleton that Battalion Chief Captain Wade was referring to there on the outside of the structure. They want to maintain that facade as they move on and develop this. I believe it's supposed to be retail on the bottom and loft housing or housing upstairs, such as what's been going on throughout Sacramento as they continue the urban infill. Again, this is right next door to the Golden One Center Arena. You can see the building butts right up against the arena here on L Street. So they don't expect any issues there. They've taken those precautions. And again, those streets are going to be shut down. So 7th Street coming southbound and L Street going west is going to be shut down in the area. So be aware of that. So be prepared for that. For your commute in the morning, because this will be an area that gets a lot of traffic during the commute time in the morning. So be prepared for those areas being shut down possibly in the morning as they continue the demolition efforts, depending on what goes on here overnight. We will not be overnight tonight due to, as many of our viewers know, we have to work our regular 9-to-5 jobs, unfortunately, until we can get full-time staffing and funding for our news project, and we are very excited about that. And once again, I'll just use this opportunity for a plug. We do have a GoFundMe that has been started by some of our partners, and very thankful for that. And if you would consider giving toward that, so we can really start hitting our next steps and phases in getting public safety news really off the ground. It's more than off the ground already, but take us into the next steps and phases of our project. We really appreciate and enjoy serving you in this capacity, and we want to keep doing it for a long time, and even continue to do it nationwide is our plan. So this is Maverick Public Safety News in downtown Sacramento.